Om Shri Padmatmani Namaham. Namaste devotees and Jai Sita Ram. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang. This beautiful September 19th, 2021. Before we commence with our puja for today, devotees, I ask that you join together with me as we sing this beautiful bhajan, as we go ahead and clear our minds to prepare for our Sunday morning service. स्वागत सब जन इस मंदिर भक्ति की स्वाति की धार सुंदर सुमधुर गान रंजन सब नर ईश सगुण निरंजन विनाशी माधुर्य दुयार ईश सगुण Devotees, as we commence, or before we commence with our service for today, I do want to mention again that today's service we will be reciting and discussing the very last verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And I did ask last week, for those of you who tuned in, if you had any thoughts, anything that you wanted to discuss, or any realizations you had from understanding and listening to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that you send those in and we can discuss those during our Sunday morning satsang. I did get a few responses. But for those of you who are willing to, there's still some time. You can either put them in the chat section of this YouTube video, or you can send them directly to the email that is listed below, shivshaktimandirga@gmail.com, and we'll go through those at the end when we complete our sermon. With that being said, devotees, I'd like for us to go ahead and join together as we go ahead and clasp our hands and close our eyes. Go ahead and take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax your shoulders, your spine, your neck, your forehead. With your mind cleared of all thoughts, go ahead and focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus. And join together with me as we chant our opening prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamida Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Ishvasyam Minam Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jam Yena Teptim Munjita Magvitha Katsit Svidhanam Om Sahana Vavata Sahana Bhunakta Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Harim Shanti 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 Hari. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we join together as we chant the most powerful Gayatri mantra. Akshare Brahmavadini Gayatri Jagat Madhar Shvayoni Namaste Om Bhuri Bhuvaya Swam Tat Savitura Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Om Bhuri Bhuvaya Swam Tat Savitura Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat Om Tatsaviturvarenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yo nah prachodayat. Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Prem Gayatri Mata ki jai. As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers and obediences to that remover and destroyer of all obstacles in life. We offer prayers to the Lord. Om Jaranam Bhutangadhi Sevitam Kapitra Jambu Palcharamuksham Umasutam Shoka Vinashakarakam Namami Vignesh Varapada Pankajam Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirviganam Kurumi Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Raksha Raksha Ganadksha Rakshatre Lokya Rakshakar Bhaktanam Bhayam Kartha Trata Bhava Bhavaranavar Om Shriman Mahaganadipate Namaham Prem Se Bolo Ganesh Bhagwan Ki Jai. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obediences to that mother of knowledge and learning in this universe. We offer prayers to Saraswati. Om Saraswati Mahabhagi Vidye Kamalanuchini Vidyarupe Vishalakshi Vidyam Dehi Namostute. Om Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kama Rupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Om Mahasaraswati Namaham. Saraswati Mata ki jai. Continue on, devotees, we offer prayers to that universal mother and that destroyer of all evils in our life and in this universe. We offer prayers to Adi Shakti Durga Mata. Om Jayanti Mangaladhari Bhadrani Kapalini Durgakshama Shivadhatri Swaha Sudha Namostute. Jai Bharati Haradini Jai Sarvagatere Kaliratri Namostute Adivi Sarvabhuteshu Vishnu Maiti Shamdita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddhi Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddha Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Tushti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah. As we pray to Mother Durga, we say, O Durga Mata, thou art the supporter of all, and all your children worship you in many forms. O Ma, we see you as Buddhi, wisdom, Lakshmi, prosperity, Shakti, energy, Shraddha, faith, Shanti, peace, Tushti, contentment, Daya, compassion. And as we pray to you, O Ma, we say, Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. As we pray to you, O Ma, we bow to thee again and again. Devotees, we offer prayers to Mother Durga in the form of the Universal Mother, Matra. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matrirupena Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namah Saumāgyam Ārogyam Nehi Me Paramam Sukham Rupam Nehi Jayam Nehi Yeshu Nehi Vashu Jahi Om Prem Shiva Shakti Mandir ki Jai. Continuing on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obediences to the most influential beings in our life. We join together as we offer prayers to the Navgraha, or as we so refer to them in the English vernacular, the nine planets. Om Navgraha Devataye Namaha. Shukraha Sharirahu Keto Sarvengraha Shanti Bhavan Sarvengraha Shanti. As we continue with our prayers to the Navgraha, we offer prayers to that being that exists in the form of the sun and that sustainer of all life on this planet. We join together as we offer prayers to Surya Narayana. Om Suryaya Namaha 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 Suryaya Continuing on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obediences to that sustainer of all things dharmic, all things righteous and mysterious. We offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Shantaram Mujan Shayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagan Sadrasham Meghavarnam Shubhanam Om Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Bhibhyaradhanagamyam Vande Vishnu Bhavabhayaharam Sarvaloki Kulanam Om Sashankha Chakram Sakirita Kundhalam Sapita Vastram Sarasir Bhekshan Sahara Vakshastala Shomikostu Bhayashriyam Namami Vishnu Shirasachadurojam Namami Vishnu Shirasachadurojam Prem Shiva Vishnu Bhagwan. And finally, devotees, we join together as we offer prayers to the Universal Father and the Universal Guru, as we offer prayers to that destroy all evils in our life and in this universe. We join together, devotees, as we offer prayer to Lord Shiva. Karunavatar Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Devotees, we offer this next prayer for all the suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that they may have a fast, speedy, and full recovery. We also offer a prayer for those transitioning from this world to the next. May the passage be smooth and tranquil. Devotees, I'd once again like to thank Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani for recording a bhajan and sending that in for us to listen to during our Sunday morning satsang. We'll move on over, listen to that beautiful bhajan, and then we'll continue on with our sermon.
He Krishna Gopala Hari, He Dina Dayala Hari, He Krishna Gopala Hari, He Dina Dayala Hari. Tum karta, tum hi karan, tum karta, tum hi karan, Parama Kripala Hari, He Dina Dayala Hari, He Krishna Gopala Hari, He Dina Dayala Hari. Raka है कारण भूमि में और कर्म योद्ध के मर्म बताए, अजरु अमर है परम सतयु, काया के दुख सुख समझाए, सुख सार की शरणागत के, सुख सार की शरणागत के, सदा प्रतिपाल हरि, हे दीन दयाल हरि, हे परम कृपाल हरि, हे कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, हे कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, हे दीन दयाल हरि. श्याम के रंग में रंग गए मीरा रस, काल को रस की खाल हुए, जग से आके बंद के नीतो, सूरदास में दरस किए, मात जसोदा ब्रज नारी के, मात जसोदा ब्रज नारी के, माकन चोर हरि, हे दीन दयाल हरि. जय कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, जय नंद के लाल हरि, जय कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, जय नंद के लाल हरि, जय कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, जय नंद के लाल हरि, जय कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, जय नंद के लाल हरि, हे कृष्ण गोपाल हरि, हे दीन दयाल हरि. 1 minute.
Once again, I'd like to thank Uncle Walter Nati Sarani for recording that bhajan and sending it in for us to listen to live during our Sunday morning satsang. Devotees, before we commence with our sermon for today, for those of us who have a guru, I ask that you join together with me as we offer a prayer to our guru. If not, then I ask that you take Lord Shiva or any devata in your mind that you so please as a universal guru and join together with me as we pray. Om Guru Brahma Vishnu Guru Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Dhana Moolam Guru Murati Puja Moolam Guru Param Mantra Moolam Guru Bhakyam Shamulam Guru Kripa Prem Guru Deo Ki Jai. Devotees, last week when we ended, we were on verses 63 and 64 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And when we ended, Bhagwan Shri Krishna had just told Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Iti Hichdana Pangyatam, Bhuyan Bhuyataram Maya, Vimirsa Ita Asena, Yatinch Last time when we had finished devotees, on verses 63 and 64, we finished with Arjuna telling Bhagwan Shri Krishna telling Arjuna, thus I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, O Arjuna, and then do what you wish to do. He's talking to Arjuna about The question he asked them at the very beginning, saying, I see all my friends, my cousins, people that I've grown up with, people who have raised me on the other side of this battlefield. What am I to do? I just want to run away. I don't want to fight. Why should I need to fight? Why should I take the lives of those who have developed me into the person that I am today? Bhagwan Shri Krishna continues to say, because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. So now Bhagwan Shri Krishna is telling this to Arjuna, and it's information that we get to know. So remember, what we're learning from this is not directly the conversation from Arjuna and Bhagwan Shri Krishna. We're hearing all this from Sanjay. Sanjay is the one who's relaying this information to the king after the great Mahabharata war. So as we go on further, he starts to discuss and declare what this confidential knowledge is. He goes in verses 65 through 68 to continue on saying, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Manmana Bhavaman Bhakto Madaya Jimam Namaskuru, Mam Eva Isyase Satyamte Pratijani Prayosimi Sarvadharmam Prayatyajya Mam Ekam Saranam Braja Ahatam Sarve Bhavebhyo Muksa Yasyami Mansucha Idam Te Natapaskaya Nabuddhaya Pradachana Nacha Sususave Vacham Nacha Manunha Suyati Ya Idam Paramam Bhuyam Manabhakti Sabhinasyati Bhakti Mai Param Kritva Mam Eva Sita Samsaya Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagwan Shri Krishna goes on to tell Arjuna, always think of me. So this is the confidential knowledge. Pay attention, devotees. We're at the end. This is what Bhagwan Shri Krishna really wants us to know. He says to Arjuna, always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere, or devoted, or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. For one who explains this supreme secret to devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he or she will come back to me. So what is he saying here? Always think of me. Always remember me. Become my devotee. Worship me. Pray homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. Look at it this way, devotees, and we've said this multiple times. If you have a goal in mind, if you want to achieve that goal, you've got to give everything towards attaining that goal. Everything towards attaining that goal. We talk about things like New Year's resolutions every year. What is your resolution this year? Will you attain it? Do you have your eyes on the prize, so to speak? Yet sometimes we make a goal, but we don't give it our whole heart and effort to do it. I think my dad had emailed or texted us sometime in the middle of this year saying that he had a New Year's resolution to get, I believe it was 2 million steps. Dad, you're going to have to remind me. And so far, he's actually really close. I think if not done, almost close to getting that goal achieved. So not only did he set a goal, he put his mind to it. He worked on it every day. He continues to work towards it so he can achieve that goal. So to attain Bhagwan Shri Krishna, worship Bhagwan Shri Krishna, become his devotee, worship him, think of him. If you put your mind and your heart and your soul and all of your devotion into this goal, you will attain that goal. You will come to him without fail. He will deliver you from all of your sinful reactions if you continue to worship him. My knowledge, he says, my knowledge, the things that I've explained to you, O Arjuna, can only be explained to those who are austere. It cannot be given to those who are not austere. or devoted, or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So what Bhagwan Sri Krishna is saying is that there are people in this world who may not want to choose to hear this, who may not be pure of heart, who may not be devoted. That's not mean, he's not trying to say that these folks should not know this knowledge. She's just saying that that knowledge won't reach them. It won't get to them. It'll bounce off of them. Because their mind isn't open and willing to accept. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't hear those words. That doesn't mean that those words and this knowledge shouldn't be granted onto them or given to them. It just means that it's going to be much harder for them to accept it. Why? Because they're not austere, they're not devoted, they're not engaged in the devotional service. They could be envious of God. Sometimes we'll see that. I do encourage families that when they come to Mandir, or if they're sitting down, even if you're watching service right now, if you have kids around you who I'm hoping are watching and are not on their cell phones or tablets, ask them to stop doing what they're doing. Take a few minutes just to listen. Same thing with the adults. I know, we're all busy, we all have lives, we all have cell phones. Mine's right here. Mine's right here. I have a tablet in front of me too. These are forms of distraction. But by using these, I'm not being austere, I'm not being devoted. I'm not engaged in devotional service. My mind is elsewhere if I'm focusing too much on these things in front of me. So we've gone through the entirety of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagwan Sri Krishna says, you've got to listen to everything I've said. You've got to do things that I tell you with devotion. You've got to follow things with your duty. If you focus on me, you will achieve me. Because remember, this world, devotees, is temporary. That doesn't mean we do as much bad as we can, because remember, if we do as much bad as we can, God's not going to want you up there. You get dragged through the depths of hell, and then your soul gets tossed back on this world to potentially suffer some more. Yeah, we have happiness every once in a while, but we also have suffering every once in a while too. So follow all of these instructions. Listen to him. He goes on further to say, he's almost done. In verses 68 through 71, these are the last verses that Bhagwan Shri Krishna says to Arjuna. In terms of things that he needs to know, knowledge he needs to know. In verses 68 through 71, he goes on further to tell Arjuna. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Ya Idam Paramam Hoyam Manmati Swami Dhasayati Bhakti Mai Param Kritma Mamye Vasat Samsaya Nachatasman Manusesu Aschani Prikritama Avita Nachami Smar Anya Priya Daroi Adhisyate Chaya Imam Dharamyam Samadam Aurayayo Shana Yajnena Tenam Yastasyam Itti Memati Srandhavan Anusuyascha Suyarabhiyo Nara Suhi Mukta Suhalokhan Prapnuya Punya Paramanam Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagwan Shri Krishna goes on further to say in verses 68 through 71, for one who explains this supreme secret to devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and thus he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence, and one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So I'm not saying this pertains to me in particular, because at this point, devotees, we've all read through the Srimad Bhagavad Gita together. We've talked through the verses together. We've asked each other the critical questions. We sat down, we've tried to understood together. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, who talks about the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, who portrays the words, the wisdom, the advice, the knowledge of Bhagwan Shri Krishna to devotees, that person is given pure devotional service and will come back to me. Now, again, keep in mind, that's not somebody who just reads the Bhagavad Gita and then tells everybody what the Bhagavad Gita says. It's somebody who takes the time to understand what the Bhagavad Gita means, how it applies to our lives, how we become better people from it. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. It's a person who understands my intellect, my knowledge, and shares that with others to make the world a better place. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours, and I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence. Remember, intelligence and knowledge and wisdom, all words are the same boat. They're expressed differently. But your intelligence, by reading these virtues, by understanding these virtues, by living by these virtues, helps you get closer to Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious plants where the pious dwell. So if something negative is going on in your life, and you hear the words of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and it applies to your situation, but then you take those words and you turn it into something negative, such as, maybe a bad constructive criticism, or you think that maybe you're being targeted by the words of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you're not free from sinful reactions. You actually have sinful reactions. You don't get to attain the auspicious planets because you're a little envious of the words. You're so attached to how they could resolve your situation that sometimes we take insults by them. We hear this all the time when we get constructive criticism. And this is very true amongst any person. Constructive criticism is never easy. Many of us cannot take constructive criticism well. Many of us cannot take constructive criticism well from specific people. Young people can't take it well from older people. Older people can't take it well from younger people. Sometimes colleagues of different races, religions, and colors can't take it well from one another. But it's through understanding, through listening, through taking the time to calm your mind down, that we become free from those sinful reactions. Constructive criticism is not meant to be negative. It's meant to be criticism that helps you become a better person. I want you to understand that when we use the words constructive criticism. But here he says, if you listen with faith and without envy, you become free from sinful reactions. However, if you're not listening with faith, if you're listening with only envy, thinking about emotions, thinking about how it pertains to the physical world around you, thinking about the results that you get from it, you're not really listening to the words of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. One of the big words that resounds to me is detachment from everything around us. Not necessarily emotional detachment, but understanding that the world around us is going to act as it will act, and we have to be okay with the results no matter what. We've just got to continue performing our lives, living our lives, performing our duties. So, but going back, verses 68 through 70, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is saying, somebody who recites my knowledge, my intelligence, my teachings, that's someone who's going to come back to me. And that's the reason, devotees. That's the reason I wanted you all to think critically and message me about what your thoughts of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita are. Because by doing that, you're taking the time to actually understand the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, to apply it to your lives. I can only tell you so much. A pundit can only tell you so much. Words on a page can only tell you so much. You have to go out and experience it. You have to go out and understand it. You have to go out and live it. My task to all of you, coming to the end of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, devotees, is that you will go ahead and take some time to get a copy of yourselves. Copy of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita by yourselves. Go ahead and read it. Read one verse every week if you want. One verse every night. 10 verses every week. 10 verses every night. We do 10 verses every week, give or take. Sometimes more. We never do less, but sometimes more. And understand those teachings. Tell others about those teachings. Say, this is what my religion... You don't even have to say it's from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. If you're at work with a bunch of colleagues who aren't followers of Sanatana, just say, these are what my scriptures have told me. This is how I understand it. This is what I choose to do to become a better person. Educate those around you. Take the time to learn. Don't let the words come in from one ear and go out the other. Because if you're doing that, devotees, you won't achieve salvation. You won't attain moksha. You'll be stuck on this world. Because we're choosing not to fully understand the words that are spoken to us. Remember, one verse does not tell you the entirety of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Read the entire thing. Accept it. Be devoted to it. Attain moksha. So this entire time, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has been speaking. Arjuna has asked questions. But now it's time for Bhagavan Shri Krishna to ask Arjuna a question, and not the other way around. In verse 72, Bhagavan Shri Krishna looks at Arjuna and states, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Akshay Hitachtutam Parata, Vayat Mamrena Chedasa, Kapchit Achnana Samoha, Pranastaste Dhananjaya, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Bhagavan Shri Krishna is asking Arjuna now, O son of Krita, O conqueror of all, have you heard with this an attentive mind? And are your ignorances and illusions now dispelled? Have I eliminated any worries, any doubt in your mind, O Arjuna? Arjuna thinks for a moment, looks at Bhagavan Shri Krishna and states, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Arjuna Uvacha, Tasto Asmritira Labdha, Vatra Sadanmaya Chuta, Stito Singata Sandeham, Kari Sevachanam Noa, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Have I dispelled your illusions and worries? Bhagavan Shri Krishna asked Arjuna, to which he responds, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusions are now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instructions. We know, devotees, that we all have specific duties that we have to perform in this world. And at times, we doubt whether or not we're doing the right thing, whether or not this is something we need to do. What I can tell you right now, and what I want you to understand, is that your duty is to perform whatever you need to, however you need to, whenever you need to. Don't let the thoughts of somebody else affect what you are doing or what you are performing if you feel that is your duty to do so. Don't let what other people think about you prevent you from acting how you need to act and doing the things that you need to do. Illusion is brought up by attachment from this world, by caring too much about what other people think, and by being influenced by too much by other people and potentially their negative beings, their negative emotions, their negative actions. We all have a specific duty in the world. So, with this, we ask 3 questions that we always need to answer. 3 questions we always need to ponder. 3 questions that should always be on the forefront of our mind. And we hear these questions time and time and again. Those 3 questions are, who am I? Where am I going? And how am I going to get there? Who am I tells you a little bit more about the being that you're supposed to become. It tells you about the duties that you need to perform. Where am I going? Where am I going? You're going where your duties tell you to go. Are you a warrior? Are you a merchant? Are you a pundit? Are you a student? Are you a parent? Are you a pet owner? Are you a leader? Are you a follower? Where am I going? Understanding who you are will help you figure out where you're going to go. And how am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? If you look at the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it tells you exactly how you need to get there. Dispel the illusions and perform your duties as you need to. Your character is developed through the actions you take. You are shaped by the world around you, yes, but also by the actions that you perform. Understand that every single thing we do, we take some risk in doing it. Why? Because there's going to be sin potentially associated with it. There may be fault associated with it. But at the end of the day, who you are and where you're going should tell you that to get there, you need to perform those actions no matter what. Be okay with the outcome no matter what, even if it's not what you expected. Don't put your expectations up here. Don't set the standard to be up here. Bring it down lower, because know that at the end of the day, you're still performing something to the best of your ability, even if something goes wrong. Be happy with the end result. Be happy with yourself, and be happy with your life. Those are some of the key, core, fundamental teachings of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, the one thing I want you to think about in the totality of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is, who am I? Ask yourself this question. Who am I? Where am I going? And how am I going to get there? And how does the Srimad Bhagavad Gita help me figure out the answer to those questions? We're almost done, devotees. We're almost done. Because the Srimad Bhagavad Gita does not start with a conversation between Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Arjuna. It actually starts with a story being told by Sanjaya to the king and his courts about what happened in this conversation in the middle of the Mahabharata. As we began with the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the words of Sanjaya, so we end the Srimad Bhagavad Gita with the words of Sanjaya. Verses 74 through 78 of chapter 18, the last 5 verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Sanjaya states, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Sanjaya Uvacha Vidyaham Vasudevasya Bharatasya cha Mahartamana Samvadam Imahasarosam Adamukam Purunaharasanam Vyasam Prasada Chunavan Itan Huyam Aham Param Vyasam Prasada Chunavan Tanuyam aham param yogam yogeshwara Krishna sattvatayata swayam rajan samsritya samvadam imam bhutam kesam arjuna yogunyam hrisyami chamurmuhu tacha samsritya samsritya rupam adhyadbhutam hari niyamayo mahadrajan hrisyami chapurna guna yatra yogeshwara Krishna yatra mardhanurhara tatra srijayo bhuvatir dhruvanittir matir mama Shri Krishna Sharanam 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 Mama. Sanjaya says, thus I have heard the conversation of the two great souls, Bhagavan Shri Krishna and Arjuna. And so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, who is speaking personally to Arjuna. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment. O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. To fully understand that, devotees, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, remember, says, one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. So Sanjay is telling this to the king in his courts. He understood the words because he himself was austere. He was devoted. He was engaged in devotional service. So the words of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And he's telling this story. And his belief at the end of this is wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, there will also be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. And he means that wherever we hear the words of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, wherever we hear the discourse of Bhagwan Shri Krishna and Arjuna, wherever we get the chance and opportunity to learn about these words, these teachings, these fundamental components that help us live our lives and push through our lives, we will always be in an environment filled with opulence, filled with victory, filled with extraordinary power, and filled with morality. That's what's so glorious about coming to Mandir. That's what's so glorious about going to satsang. It's meant to be an area where we feel light and bright, where we learn, where we're educated, where we let go of all sins and tragedies. I end my course of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita with letting you all know that if you ever choose to go to a place, or if you ever choose to recite these words, do it with a steadfast mind. Do it with love and compassion. Do it with a caring heart. It does break my heart from time and time again where I get to see on social media where there's groups of people who are at a satsang or yajna, and then it breaks out into a fight where people are yelling at each other, slandering words, using slurs. Because at that point, devotees, we're not learning from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We're doing everything that it teaches us not to do. We're living in the antithesis of the words of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, and we're letting Kali Yuga, that dark age, overcome our hearts and our souls more and more. If you ever choose to go to a mandir, if you ever choose to listen to these words, if you ever choose to be in the environment of anybody who's discussing this information, go with an open mind, go with an open heart. Bring some light to that environment and dispel the darkness. Prem se Bolo Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Of course, devotees, I don't want to end on my words alone. I also want to end on your words as well, and I want to double check to make sure to see nobody else sent any emails to me. But we did have two different members of our congregation send in some messages from what they've learned from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and I want to share those with you all right now. And I know that these folks watch pretty much every week as much as they can. So first and foremost to Sheena Jagnarayan, who's been watching every week, has been asking questions, has been hoping to, get back with everybody so we can all get together. She's been listening, and she is enclosing her ideas on the Gita for us. She says that the Gita is a very revered religious book in Hinduism, along with the Vedas, Sri Ram Charitamanas, Upanishads, and Puranas. It's the oldest and the mother of all religions, and the Gita is well respected in Europe. Two things that she's understood and learned from hearing the words of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. She thinks the most auspicious part of the Gita is when Arjuna asks Bhagwan Shri Krishna on the battlefield for advice how to fight his relative. Lord Krishna says it's your duty to fight according to your Dharma, to protect your reputation. Your Dharma, your actions, the things that we have to live in life, that's our duty. You have karma, you have Dharma. It is righteous for you to fight because that's your duty. Your duty is always a righteous thing. Don't let other people tell you that it's unrighteous to perform your duty. That's a very important lesson. The second thing that Sheena wants us to know is that she was intrigued to hear what we talked about in regards to salvation from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The Gita's instructions on surrendering to Lord Krishna fully conscious before you can enter the kingdom of God. Performing devotional service and not being delusional for power and money. These can be found in Catholicism, along with many other similarities like the Trinity, penance, charity, praying, and fasting, which is a very important thing. It is a very important thing, and I'm glad she mentioned it and wrote it in that way. It was very eloquent, Sheena. In the sense that we have to be fully conscious about Bhagwan Shri Krishna before we can enter his kingdom. That we have to perform devotional service and not be delusional for power and money. Money helps us move day to day. Power doesn't get us any further in life than it did before. It actually takes us back a few steps at times, because power can corrupt our minds, our souls, and our bodies. It can cause us to lose our humanity. Power is something that once you have, it's something that you have to use in the right way. She ends with, I've always lived my life with universal values and all the good practices of my parents that I will always treasure. Churches attended. She's been to Hindu churches, Arya Samaj, Christian, Catholic churches in Guyana, New York, and Georgia. Shanti Om from Sheena, Jaipur. Sheena, thank you for those words. Thank you for sharing with us the things that you've learned and the things that are going to help you going into the future. I'm glad that there's information that you could have taken from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita to help apply it to your daily life and understood and thought about a little bit more. We also had Auntie Drew send something in. Auntie Drew sent in Sattva Guna, Raja Guna, and Tama Guna. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. These three qualities born of nature tie down the imperishable soul to the body. They talk about the different actions, the gunas, the three modes of material nature that help us live our lives, that how we live our lives. Sattva is goodness, Rajas is passion, and Tamas is ignorance. Explanation examples were discussed during virtual Mandir service weekly on these three gunas. Again, these are the three modes of life, three modes of material nature. Which one are you living by, devotees? Are you being good? Are you being passionate? Or are you being ignorant? It's easy to be ignorant. Easy to be ignorant towards a situation. We can always turn a blind eye. You never want to be tamas. You never want to be ignorant. Number 2 is to create a balance in your life. Choose your activities with wisdom and build great character traits. We learn from every little thing we do. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Everything that we talk about, everything that we experience, and everything that happens to us is something that we use to build our own traits in life. Create balance. Understand that bad may be there. Good can always be expelled. Or not expelled, but performed. And number 3, having transcended the aforesaid 3 gunas, which have caused the body, and freed from birth and death, old age, all kinds of sorrow, the soul will attain supreme bliss. Yes, we want to be happy. Yes, we want to be good. We want to be passionate. We sometimes have ignorance in our lives, but once we transcend these 3 gunas, even goodness, once we just live our lives according to our duties, knowing that there's good and bad all around, but still living according to our own lives, our own duties, and our own functions, we will attain supreme bliss. Namaste to all. Auntie Drew. To Auntie Drew and to Sheena, thank you so much for sending in your thoughts and sharing them with us in regards to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and to help educate and guide other people going forward. It's still important, devotees, for us to understand our scriptures. I think pundits are great in the sense that we are able to read the information and send it out to you, but I want you to take some time to sit down and understand it. English classes in high school were one of my favorite, because not only did we read a book, we also had something called a Socratic seminar where we sat down as students and talked about the book in guidance with our teacher. So take some more time, devotees. Open up a random page of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Open up the book, point to a random verse. Take some time to understand it and learn from it. With that being said, devotees, I want to thank you all for coming on this journey with me as we went through the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. That doesn't mean that we're done with the Srimad Bhagavad Gita forever. We're going to come back to it from time to time. But thank you for joining me on this journey, learning more about what Sanatana Dharma is and the teachings of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And with that being said, devotees, let's all join together in devotional service as we clasp our hands and close our eyes. As we go ahead and take a deep breath in and relax our bodies, our spine, our shoulders, our neck, our forehead, and using all of our mental energy, all of our mental facilities and capacity, focus on a form of Bhagwan Shri Krishna or any devata that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus and joins together with me in the weekends as we chant our blessings. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu सर्वेषां शान्तिः भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ सर्वे सुखिनो भवन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ मन्त्रहीनं क्रियाहीनं भक्तिहीनं जनार्दनं नित्यपूजितं मया देवा परिपूर्णं ददस्तु मे पापोऽहं पापकर्मां पापोऽत्मा पापसम्भवः त्राहि मम गरीकाशं सर्वपापो हरो हरि ॐ त्वमेव माताश्च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्याद्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देवमस्मय तमस्सु मा ज्योतिर्गमया मृत्युमामृतमया हरि ओं शान्ति 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 ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः पृथ्वी शान्तिर्आपः शान्तिः औषधे शान्तिर्वनस्पति शान्तिर्विश्वदेव शान्तिर्ब्रह्मा शान्तिः सर्वैव शान्तिर्शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सामा शान्तिरेव हरि ओं शान्ति शांति शांति हरि ओम तत्सत प्रेम से बोलो कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो गणेश भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय प्रेम से बोलो सरस्वती माता की जय प्रेम से बोलो विष्णु भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो शिव शंकर भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो शिव शक्ति मंदिर की जय प्रेम से बोलो सनातन धर्म की जय Devotees, with this, we've come to the end of our Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here with us today as we perform our virtual service live, or for those of you who are tuning in the future. First and foremost, devotees, I do want to mention a few events that we've got going on, as well as some changes to our Mandir schedule, and we'll send out emails updating you all on these changes as well. But for the month of September, we have one more period that's going to start, and that is known as Pitra Paksh. Pitra Paksh will begin on Tuesday, September 21st, and end on Tuesday, October 5th. So again, Tuesday, September 21st, ending on Tuesday, October 5th. Immediately following Pitra Paksh, devotees, is the period known as Navratri. It's Sharad Navratri. It essentially means the Navratri in the fall period. What we don't really ever talk about is that there are 4 different Navratris, one in every season. The 2 that are most auspicious, though, are the spring Navratri and the fall Navratri, because there's not really necessarily... There's a change of the position of the sun in these time periods, and that's why they're the more auspicious ones. But that begins on Wednesday, October 6th, and ends Thursday, October 14th. Again, Wednesday, October 6th, and Thursday, October 14th. I have announced that we will be doing a Sharad Navratri Puja on Sunday, October 10th. But I also want to let you all know that on Friday, October 8th, we will be doing something additional for the devotees of the Shiva Shakti Mandir via our YouTube channel. I will have more details for you as we get a little closer to that date. I just want to make sure I iron everything out before I let you know. So we will have a special virtual service on Friday night, which is Friday night, which is Friday, October 8th. And again, I'll give you more details on that. And then at 10 o'clock in the morning, we will do our regular Navratri service, or our typical Navratri service at 10 o'clock in the morning. I also want to let you all know, devotees, that next week we will be having service. So today is the 19th. Next week is the 26th. So we will be doing our virtual Sunday morning service. However, on Sunday, October 3rd, we will not be having virtual Sunday morning satsang. Again, I repeat, that is Sunday, October 3rd. We will not be doing a virtual satsang. The primary reason is on Saturday, October 2nd, we will be doing the 1-year funeral rites for my grandmother, Rampiari Bhutan. And that will be, again, on Saturday, October 2nd. We will be doing something via the YouTube, the Mandir YouTube, just so those who want to see and be present with us can be present with us. We are not, unfortunately, having guests over for this. My family and my parents are not extending invitations out to the community, primarily for the reasons that we want everybody to remain and stay safe, especially with the rapid spread of the Delta variant and how COVID trends are projecting right now. We just don't want to put anybody at risk, but we still want you all to be present with us in terms of being able to remember with us and performing our Bhagwan Shri Krishna Puja on that day. So on Saturday, October 2nd, we will have something live on our YouTube channel. I'll give you more about the details, the date and the times next week, devotees, but just know that our service for Sunday, October 3rd will be canceled. I do want to say Jai Sita Ram to those of you who are in the chat. I see that, and I got to squint a little bit because I'm far away from my computer. Geeta, Samal, Jai Sita Ram to you. To Auntie Sandra, Sita Ram to you. And to Anita Chapel. Chapel, I think I should say, I said it like a Guyanese person, Chapel. To Sita Chapel. And to my Didi, who I'm sure is watching as well. Sita Ram to you both. And before I end for devotees, there are a few announcements that I want to make from our president in regards to birthdays. First and foremost, I do want to send an apology to Uncle Barry. To Uncle Barry, he celebrated his birthday 2 weeks ago, and my dad had sent it on the list, and I had overseen it. So to Uncle Barry, I do apologize, but we, on the behalf of the Shiva Shakti Mandir Executive Board, want to wish you a very, very happy belated birthday. In regards to other birthdays, this week we saw 2 other folks who celebrated their birthday. To my god brother Travis, we want to wish a very happy birthday to you. And to my Sabpua all the way over in Texas, I hope you're watching and I hope you have a very wonderful birthday, or have had a very wonderful birthday as well. And then the other folk that we want to send birthday wishes to, and I want to make sure I read out this email, to Raj Sukdeo, who is the son of Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani. Today is actually his birthday. Today, September 19th. So to Raj, we hope you have a very wonderful day. We hope you have a happy birthday. And from your family, your mother, your father, your wife, your children, and your sisters and their families would all like to wish you a very happy milestone birthday. So to you, Raj, very happy birthday to you today. With that being said, devotees, I have no other announcements, no other birthdays or anniversaries to announce. I want you all to have a safe, wonderful, happy, healthy week. I hope that we have all been able to learn something more from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as we continue on with our virtual Sunday morning satsangs. Next week, we will be starting something new, so be prepared for that. And until then, devotees, you have a wonderful week. Jai Sita Ram.